built a reparation.
Shit. Nah. Love the royal priesthood. Mark a Buddha, Sekou the madman, Killer Priest, Fourth Chambers, Full Fuji. This beat sound like something I wear. You dig? Yo, hold on my people, why you walking around like you equal? They wrote you in as 3/5. What we gonna do about this? Talk too much, you end up like Jimi Hendrix in 27 Club. You want that knowledge? Well, I'm the plug. Knowledge itself is the drug. And I keep dropping the nugs. Culture pushing, wisdom spitting. Pimping simpletons into listening. Yawning while you spewing fiction. I can feel the tensions in your intentions. I wonder if that's Johnson heaven. If God is white, why he write that bronze was the sun? They give us reparations, that's when the apocalypse begun. Yeah. Red rhyme, okay. Yeah, red rhyme, better rhyme. Grab your guns, daughters and sons. Wasn't long ago when they had us hung. Blood on the leaves, frontal crumbled in between. Exhale for my ancestors that prevailed. We inhale, so we inhale, dodging death every day. Just happy I'm here to tell the tale. Meanwhile, y'all with the pigs and them tattletales. I'ma just be a scientist if it all fails. Mixing chemicals like a cocktail. My tree smell like it's from the tropical. So not for sale, never settle. Follow the tears on the trail. Nah.
That whole African American thing is to omit, you see, the indigenous black man of this particular land. When we brought the African American term, we cut out all of the Caribbean, all of South America, all of Latin America. And this is another way to reclassify you, you see what I'm saying, outside of power.
We got blacks, whites, brown and yellow. We got red, those with dreads found from the ghetto. We got bullet-led and misled, the smile of the devil. On the face of the moon, heart pound like a rebel. Hear the sound of the metal. War in Iraq, 6 feet underground with the shovel. All over the map, the Bible said signs of the time. The Torah said that's your God, not mine. The Holy Quran says it's all Allah's design. The Buddhist says let's meet at the shrine. Thou shalt not eat of the swine. That you is the cut, sure as blue as the blood. Killer priests in the temple, Nehru is the love.
That's a political move that was put in by the government to break you down to this subclass, you see, and not be a world community. So to call you an African American is to disconnect you from that global community and that great diaspora that we were talking about. So that's a political move. Yes, come on. The average Native American was this brother's complexion at the turn of the century. Now when you say Native American, it's some white person with a feather in his hair.
All right. And welcome back to Youth Day Resurrection and Liberation. Thank you for joining us. Happy to be here. I'm your brother Lumumba Uncaged. I'll be co-host and moderator for this evening. And of course, I have with me the hostess with the most, Sister Empress Shay.
All right.
All right. So how's everything? How you been?
Oh, wonderful. You know, this is my kind of weather. It's really nice and warm, and that's the way I like it. And we're going to make it even hotter now with tonight's dialogue. Woo, so much happening. Well, let me tell you, we got some news to really bring to the family.
Right.
Yes, indeed.
So I know we're going to be tapping in and dealing with Mama St. Kali House this evening. What else we got in store for today?
Well, you know, we call this St. Kali House Day, for this is the day of her ascension. And so, you know, with the 30 sister saints for MWM, we've kind of, you know, made it a point to we do it every year, but we're really trying to get our folks that are not necessarily members of MWM to also observe these days of our ancestors. And we've selected 30 30 Black women that we now call saints. And every year for their either born day and or their ancestral day, we do something to honor them. And so we are encouraging our people to get a little away from the Gregorian calendar, representational days, and all of that, and look at some of the days that we say we want to commemorate and celebrate and observe and so forth. So, again, we're going to be putting out a calendar for next year with the Sister Saints. It'll have information, educational information, but also ways that we can uphold their legacies, keeping the history, keeping their accomplishments and so forth, moving forward, so that we just don't talk about what they did. We talk about what they did, but also embrace what we will do to make certain that their vision, their mission, and so forth is moved forward. So yes, today is St. Callie House Day.
All right, absolutely, excellent. All right, so with that being said, it looks like we're going to hop into our first clip for this evening to review a bit of history on the great ancestor, mother, St. Callie House. Okay, let me go ahead and share my screen. It should be popping up shortly. And let's jump into it.
A Black washerwoman built a reparations army of 300,000 people. And yet, the federal government destroyed her methodically, completely, utterly. Her name was Callie House. Remember it. Nashville, Tennessee, 1898. A charter was signed that would change everything. Callie House pressed her name into that document with trembling purpose and fierce intention. The National Ex-Slave Mutual Relief, Bounty and Pension Association, that was their weapon. She co-founded it with Reverend Isaiah Dickerson. But she was the heartbeat, washerwoman, widow, mother of 5 hungry mouths. Laundry steamed in her home day and night. Her fingers pruned from hot water. Her calloused hands would soon write to congressmen demanding reckoning. The argument was clear: formerly enslaved people had labored without a single penny. Their unpaid work had built the nation's wealth, brick by brick, crop by crop. A pension was not charity. It was a debt come due. 300,000 people signed on. They believed her. They trusted her vision. She organized rallies, drafted petitions. A Black washerwoman built a reparations army of 300 ledger. The association formally petitioned Congress to pass an ex-slave pension bill, a demand that refused to be ignored. The bill had actually been introduced first by Senator John Henderson of Missouri in 1894. House's organization became its most visible and organized outside pressure. She was not waiting for a savior in Washington. She was building the constituency that would force one. On the road, she was something the federal government had not encountered before. A Black woman running a national political organization, funded by Black working people, aimed directly at Congress. Here is where it turns. Postal inspectors intercepted her correspondence on a sustained basis. They logged who she wrote to, who wrote back, what funds moved through the mail. This was the same surveillance method the federal government would later use against Marcus Garvey. Same agency, same tactic, different decade. It was not looking for evidence of fraud in the ordinary sense. What they were building, piece by piece, was a case that her organization should not exist. Inspectors had to attend her meetings, copy her letters, track her travel across multiple states. That is not a casual investigation. That is a sustained federal effort against one woman collecting 10-cent dues from washerwomen and field workers. The evidence tells a different story than the one the government told in court. Callie House built an organization that actually worked and terrified those in power. And working organizations in the Jim Crow South, with Black leadership and a reparations agenda, attracted attention. In the margins of the surveillance files, historians found something worth noting. The postal inspectors were not only watching her funds, they were watching how fast the membership grew. Growth itself was the evidence they were collecting. Postal Inspector J.W. Jones filed the first formal complaint in 1903. His complaint named the organization as fraudulent. His own records revealed contradictory findings. Members were receiving the mutual aid payments they had been promised. The dues ledger balanced. No member had filed a complaint against Callie House. The fraud claim came from the government, not from the people she served. Inspector Jones attended at least 4 association meetings in Tennessee and Alabama. He sat in the back of those churches with a notebook. The oil lamps threw long shadows across the pews. He wrote down names, amounts, dates. He wrote down how many people clapped when she finished speaking. That detail is in the file. He was counting applause as evidence. Here is what they buried. What they needed us never to know. At the same time Jones was building his case, Congress held $68 million in a federal account. Revenue derived from a tax on cotton harvested across the South from 1862 through 1868. Much of that cotton was picked by enslaved and newly freed black hands. The Treasury Department had collected it and never distributed it. $68 million in accumulated wealth, housed federally, extracted through black workers' labor. Callie House's organization knew about that money. Her petitions to Congress named it specifically. She was not asking for charity from a reluctant government. She was demanding restitution of wealth previously seized from her constituency. That reframes everything the prosecution later claimed. Because here is the truth. The government was not protecting the public from fraud. It was guarding $68 million against one woman holding membership records. The government charged her with mail fraud under a federal statute. The specific claim was that she had used the postal system to advance a scheme to defraud. The scheme they named was the pension campaign itself. The government argued that because Congress had not passed the pension bill, collecting dues toward it was fraudulent. Follow that logic carefully. She told members she was lobbying for a pension. For years she stood before Congress, demanding what was owed. The lobbying had not succeeded. Her fight had ended in silence. The government said that failure, after the fact, made her initial promise a lie. Under that reasoning, every failed political campaign in American history would be fraud. The trial lasted less than a week. The courtroom in Nashville in 1917 was segregated. No black juror sat in the box. A jury of 12 white men judged a black organizer who had mobilized her community toward federal petitions. The verdict was guilty. Callie House was sentenced to 1 year in a federal penitentiary. She was 60 years old. She had spent nearly 2 decades organizing, traveling, writing letters, and collecting dimes. Then in 1917, she entered confinement. No possessions recorded. Her organization collapsed within weeks, not months. It vanished. Without her coordinating the correspondence, the network that had taken 20 years to build came apart in months. The pension campaign ended with her imprisonment, which was its purpose. The weapon they chose wasn't a gun. It was a statute. Every charge, every subpoena, aimed at the organization itself. The cell just held her while they burned everything down. Mississippi Governor James K. Vardaman had written publicly in 1902 that black political organizing was a danger to the social order. He was not alone in that view, among officials who had the power to act on it. The postal inspector's reports moved through a federal system populated by men who agreed, not because of conspiracy in the dramatic sense, because of consensus in the ordinary, terrible sense. Men who held the same assumptions made the same decisions without needing to coordinate. That is what institutional power looks like from the inside. It does not require a meeting. It requires agreement on what a threat looks like. One black organizer commanding 300,000 reparations advocates was the threat they agreed on. The same federal mail surveillance used against her was later turned on Marcus Garvey. Later, Martin Luther King Jr. faced same agency surveillance across 50 years, targeting identical organizing activities. After her release, Callie House returned to Nashville. She went back to taking in washing. Historians who have studied her case note that she left no memoir, no published account, no public statement about what had been done to her. Whether that silence was chosen or imposed, the effect was the same. The record preserved nothing beyond the conviction. Her hands, which had signed letters to United States senators, went back to other people's laundry. And in that silence, something specific was lost that has never been fully measured. Callie House's organization was not only a lobbying effort, it was a mutual aid network serving elderly, formerly enslaved people directly. When the organization collapsed, those payments stopped. People who had paid dues for years, expecting aid in old age, received nothing. Her movement's collapse was not just one campaign ending. It ended a social safety net built by Black working people for Black working people, funded by dimes. No federal program replaced it. No congressional bill acknowledged what had been lost. The federal government held $68 million from cotton levies in its vault. Historians studying that account found no record of it ever being formally debated for distribution. The money had been collected. The campaign to reclaim it had been prosecuted into silence, and the account sat where it had always sat. 250,000 citizens mobilized together. 2 decades of organizing effort. $68 million accumulated from Black agricultural taxation. All of it, by 1918, functionally gone. The power that silenced her left no speeches, no debates, no recorded votes, just erasure. Postal fraud conviction, 1-year sentence, and silence from a woman resuming domestic life upon return home. After her release in 1921, the petitions continued. The erasure continued too. Federal authorities opened a mail surveillance case against Marcus Garvey. Garvey was building a Black economic and political movement with a national membership. The United States Bureau of Investigation assigned agents to attend his meetings and copy his correspondence. Same method, different man. 20 years later, in 1956, the Federal Bureau of Investigation opened a file on Martin Luther King Jr. That file eventually ran to over 17,000 pages. The Bureau tracked his correspondence, his travel, his associations. The same architecture extended 38 years beyond Callie House's conviction. The bill she organized around had been introduced first in 1894. It was reintroduced in multiple sessions over the following decade. Each time, it was referred to committee. Each time, it died there without a recorded hearing, without a named vote against it. There is no debate to quote, no senator on record opposing it, no official moment of rejection. The bill simply never existed in the places where a bill could be measured. In 1989, Representative John Conyers of Michigan introduced a bill to study reparations for slavery. He called it House Resolution 40. Conyers reintroduced that bill in every congressional session for 30 years. It never received a floor vote, referred to committee each time. No recorded hearing, no named opposition. The same mechanism, 95 years after Henderson's first introduction, working the same way. The committee door closes. 95 years of silence finally breaking. In 2023, a formal reparations study commission in San Francisco produced a 500-page report. The city's Board of Supervisors accepted the report and declined to fund its main recommendations. 500 pages. Government acknowledgement, followed by the same quiet door. The petition changed shape. The machinery of silence never stopped. Never once. In 2014, a commemorative marker was placed for Callie House in Rutherford County. Its dedication came roughly 1 century after her sentencing. The marker is there now. The organization it marks is not. The cotton tax account was never reopened, despite 2 decades of demands. The dues paid by washerwomen and field workers across 5 states were never refunded. The mutual aid payments that stopped when she went to prison were never resumed by anyone. The bill introduced in 1894 established a pattern every successor attempt followed into silence. What the government took from Callie House was not only her freedom for a year, it was the 20 years of system she had built before that year. And every year that system would have kept running after it. The laundry continued. Her letters to Congress never resumed.
All right, there you have it, and then some. So we're going to go a little more into some of the history of Mother Callie House, St. Callie House. And, you know, that particular clip gave you a lot of information, family. I hope some of you took notes, if not physically, mentally. We're going to play one more real quick. And do we have Sister Kenneth backstage, Brother Lumumba?
We do not. Oh, yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yep.
Okay. So we're going to bring her in next, right on time. Sister Kenneth is, of course, the co-chair, national co-chair, that is, for Incomparable. And so this all kind of, connects the black dots, as we say. For those who are not familiar with Incomparable, you will now learn more about it. And again, remember that our platform offers the capability for any of our groups and organizations that are trying to do some positive developmental things for our people. We provide this platform to make sure that they're able to present that information. Whether you agree or disagree, that's not what we're about. We provide information and then allow our people to make whatever decisions they would like to make. Again, our responsibility as media, communications, and information specialists, I'm going to say, or at least we're striving to be, we provide information that speaks truth to power. So with that said, we're going to do one more quick clip, and then we're going to bring Sister Candace in, and she's going to tell us about history about Incobra and what it's getting ready to do in a couple of weeks. Let's go to that one more quick clip, Brother Lumumba. And again, family, the reason why we're bringing that is because we want to connect the black dots. Now, we started with St. Callie House. This is her day. Of course, we are going to also hear more about Queen Mother Moore. And next month we commemorate every year Queen Mother Moore Day, and we actually do a conference. Next month, we're going to do a session for Black women. It's called Black Women for Reparatory Justice. We created our own cadre of sisters that are about repair. So I'll tell you a little more about that shortly. But one more quick clip, and then we're going to talk to our sister, Candace.
This reparations claim in the United States is not new. It didn't begin with the ADOS and FBA. It didn't even begin with Ta-Nehisi Coates' 2014 article, A Case for Reparations. I can trace reparation efforts back to 1896, the same year that Plessy versus Ferguson established the separate but equal. I can trace it back to Callie House, right? Her National Ex-Slave Mutual Relief Bounty and Pension Association, right? This organization essentially made a case for back pay of unpaid labor for formerly enslaved Africans, the same way that veterans may get pension for time served. Callie House petitioned Congress and even sued the government for these reparations. They brought up a whole bunch of false charges of fraud and pretty much destroyed her organization, they being the U.S. government. So I say that to say it's important for folks in the United States engaged in reparation movements now to understand the history and the legacy that they're becoming a part of.
All right, there you go. And that's what we're talking about. Know some history, because unfortunately, I am seeing a lot of folks talk about reparations. But then when I begin to ask certain questions or hear certain things that are being said, I got to go, interesting. And so, know that folks sometimes mean well, but that's not good enough in this day and age. There is so many ways to get information, so many ways to connect. And so to not do what we call due diligence, meaning, keep your game up, that's not acceptable for some of us. And if you think folks aren't watching, if you think folks will not call it out the way that it is, you got another thing coming. We owe it to our ancestors, and some of us are here on patrol and on the front line to do that. With that said, we're going to talk now about Incobra. For those who do not know, you're going to learn a lot, I'm sure. And for those who do know, I think you're still going to learn a lot, because in some instances, there's really misinformation that has been circulated, and in some regards also a bunch of other stuff. And so we want to just kind of clear the air. This is why we do it directly with someone who is in the position to provide us with adequate information, not hearsay, not I thought something. No. All right. With that said, we'd like to welcome Sister Candace to join us tonight for this segment of New Day, our Callie House, St. Callie House Day. And we're going to talk about Incobra, reparations, and a few other things relevant to that. Welcome, Sister Candace.
Greetings. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So before, yes. Before we go into a little history about in Cobra. First of all, let's just share with the family a little bit about you. Who is Sister Kenneth?
Sister Kenneth is the, as she said, national co-chair for Incomparable, as well as I serve as the national co-chair for Incompara's Legislative Commission. I've been with Incobra for about 12 years. And before that, I was corporate America and left corporate America, well, retired from corporate America, and decided I needed to do something with myself. And I have been doing volunteer work ever since, primarily social justice activism. So that's a little bit about who I am.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. All right, now let's get to the nitty gritty. And that is, of course, a little history about Incobra. What is Incobra?
Incobra is a coalition. Incobra spells out into National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations in America. And Incobra formed as a coalition in 1987. So next year will be 40 years that Incobra has been in existence. And the primary focus then as well as now has been to raise the level of awareness on reparations, comprehensive and complete reparations for all people of African descent. Incobra has not missed an opportunity since 1989 when HR 40 first was introduced in the House by the late Congressman John Conyers. We have been advocate, staunch supporters of the legislation, and we have been on Capitol Hill lobbying and advocating for HR 40, its reparations at the federal level. All of those various times when HR 40 has been introduced, and there's not been a time when HR 40 has not been introduced. Yes, we've had some changing of the guards as far as sponsorship is concerned. May Congressman John Conyers rest in peace and power, but also may Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee rest in peace and power. Currently, our bill sponsor is Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley out of Massachusetts, and she has been a staunch advocate advocating for reparations. Again, at the federal level, complete and comprehensive reparations. We still have, even after decades, because a lot of the founding members were young and they would still argue that they're young. We have several of our founding members who still give us the guiding light on what we should do.
All right, great. Thank you so much. And just as a sidebar, family, just to kind of give you a little insight as to how long MWM has been involved, we are on record. I mean, we were involved prior to the Million Woman March, but on the October 25th, 1997, Sister Janata Obadelli, who was the one of the national co-chairpersons at that time during that year, was one of our speakers, as well as Congressman John Conyers. So we say to y'all, we got skin in this game for real. Okay. All right. Let's look at some of the original founders. I think it's very important that we mention particularly three of them. And the reason why I say that is because there's certain work that was fundamental that they brought forward, that they introduced And again, sometimes I do not hear people that talk about reparations today even, mention their names at any time. So could you share with us some of the ancestral? I know you said there's a few who are still with us, but the original three that started in Cobra. Could you share with us some of them?
The original three. So there was, well, this may be even difficult for me. I'm going to say Adjo Ayatora was an original founding member.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Obadeli,
Yes.
an original founding member.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to just hang my head in shame and embarrassment and say I don't know who the third person was.
Queen Mother Moore.
Queen Mother Moore.
Yep.
Thank you. So those were the three original members, founding members, and then of course others came on.
Oh yeah, there were definitely others. Yeah, but again, because the Republic of New Africa was very instrumental in the development of Incobra, there's like a few who were a part of the Republic of New Africa. And so those conversations and dialogues were being formed, or they were having those conversations and dialogue prior to the actual formation of Incobra. So again, family, this is why it's so important that, and this is how we're kind of able to kind of gauge, various things. Because so many people now that reparations have become popular and, people are talking about it and are excited about it. But if we do not give the proper recognition to the people who, when it wasn't popular, when it wasn't cliche-ish or faddish or whatever, these folks worked extremely hard and was up against all kinds of odds. Nobody even wanted to hear, well, I won't say nobody, but most didn't even want to hear about reparations. And now, Sister Kenneth, I'm seeing groups who wouldn't even touch reparations 20, 30 years ago, now talking about reparations. It's just amazing. Go ahead.
You're absolutely correct. There are many, many, many groups who are in the reparative justice arena, some at the local level, some at state level, and more at the local and state level. There aren't that many who are concentrating on reparations at the federal level. And I'm sure a lot of that does have to do with the current political climate. But you have at least 4 state reparative efforts that are up and, fully functional. Understand what is about to become functional. So there are 5 of 50 states that have a reparations effort. They are, of course, California, who made it through the process, and they've rendered their remedies, 1,100-page report with about 115 remedies. New York State is in the process of conducting the hearings, and I have heard that they have asked for an additional 2-year extension. They just don't see that they can do the final report justice in the amount of time that they would have with the original legislation. But they are, having community-based hearings, talking to subject matter experts, etc. Illinois has a state effort. I don't hear a lot about Illinois, so I'm not even able to give you a lot of anything on them, except they do have an active reparations commission. And then of course, the other one is in the great state that I live in, and that's Maryland. And I'm sure your listening audience is aware that last year the governor vetoed the legislation. There was massive outcry from the communities. Everyone organized and petitioned the General Assembly to override the governor's veto, and that was done. So Maryland also has a reparation at the state level, a reparations commission in the works. And Washington, the state of Washington, it looks like they are also about to stand up a reparations commission, or at least that's what I'm hearing. And then, of course, there are massive numbers of reparative efforts at the local level. In North Carolina, you have Buncombe County. You have, again, the new state of New Jersey is working on standing up a reparative effort. A couple of years ago, Palm Springs settled a reparations complaint or reparations initiative. So you're absolutely correct. There is a proliferation of reparative efforts throughout, and folk are being more inclined to do what's right. Now, at the federal level, I do have to tell you, although there are no co-sponsors, Congressman, I think his first name is Brian Babin, Babin, out of Texas, has a piece of legislation that has a number, HR 2100, and it's almost ironic in an unhealthy way that he has a piece of legislation, no bailouts for reparations, and the gist of what he has in his bill is if there are successful reparation efforts, then anyone who has a successful reparations effort, that there will, all federal funding will cease. They're going to shut down all federal funding. So they're calling it no bailouts. And just as an aside, that's kind of, as I said, it's kind of, it's an unhealthy oxymoron, I think, because they're the same ones who are up in arms about the anti-weaponization fund, and passing out compensation to those people that they deem who have been injured and harmed and need to have repair. Yet and still, the Republicans are the same ones who have legislation that says no bailouts for any area. And actually, the Department of Justice did issue a letter a while back to Buncombe County along those same lines.
Wow. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. No, I certainly wasn't aware of that. This is why I love our program. I love New Day, because it's always information that, we're able to just learn about and be able to become even more proactive. So thank you again for that. Okay, now I know you don't have a lot of time, so I want to kind of move, I guess, into, but before we do that, because family, there's a conference or a convention coming up, and I definitely want Sister Kenneth to have time to, give us insight and information about that. But before we do, we talked again about there's a lot of different positions now on the issue of reparation in our community. So just for point of clarity, right? Because there's a lot of stuff that's said, and you don't necessarily see it in writing anywhere, but it's just a lot of conversational stuff going on. The position of Incobra in terms of reparations, can you share with us a little about that?
Sure. Cobra's position is and has always been complete and comprehensive reparations for all
Mm-hmm.
people of African descent, and we have not wavered from that.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm going to jump over, I think it'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
The first day of our convention, June 25th, we have taken the ginormous leap uh, in the air, and
Mm-hmm.
we decided that what we're going to do is host a healthy, wholesome, professional debate. And that debate is going to be on lineage based reparations versus complete and comprehensive reparations. And I say healthy, professional. We're not going to have, the divisiveness. We're just going to sit down and have a debate and talk about it. We've
Mm-hmm.
invited those who believe in lineage based reparations. And we have on the complete and comprehensive side, one of the founding members, Attorney Ajua Ayatora. We have Dr. Ray Winbush from Morgan State University
Mm-hmm.
and a few others, but that'll just give you a flavor.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm confident that we can do this. I'm also confident that from this discussion, we may well have part two, part three, depending, but someone has to just take the leap of, somebody just has to just jump out there and say, instead of us being divisive, we have to just sit down, break a few olive branches, and have those conversations.
That's right. Absolutely. I'm really glad to hear that we're working on something similar to that as well. In fact, this entire month, excuse me, is kind of dedicated to the issue of repair, and with that, allowing some of the different groups to be able to share their information. Next week, we do have Sister Keisha and Brother Divine will be joining us from Foundation Black. Was it FBA? Yeah. Foundation Black Americans. They will be joining us next week to talk about, their mission, position, what have you. So that's what we're doing, this whole month, to really just let folks hear some of what's going on, the differences, not so much from the controversial standpoint, but the facts, right? That's what we want to focus on. So with that said, one quick question for a point of clarity. You said people of African descent. So with that said, is that meaning, as it pertains to U.S., that for Incobra, that does not necessarily mean lineage? Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. So I'm helping folks to realize or have some comprehension as to what some of the chitter chatter is going on in our communities about. And for people who don't know anything about reparations or know little, it can be a little confusing. So this is what we're, making certain that as we proceed, we're going to have these conversations in our communities, because a lot of times activists and advocates, we talk to each other. All right. We don't really talk with the masses, for real. And that's one of our missions with the We Charge Genocide 21, to make sure we get in the hood and talk to everybody of our people who think they might want to know something. So, okay, so we got that point clear. All right, let's move on.
Just if I could just say one thing to what you
Mm-hmm.
just said.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, I am in Buffalo, New York, for that very reason, talking to the people on the ground about reparations and giving them a historical perspective, because I sincerely believe in and support the need to do better engagement with the people on the ground. And
No doubt.
I'm in Buffalo and have been here for a few days now.
Oh, that's wonderful. Because that's one of the problems that we found. I attended a session, I guess 2 years ago, that Sister Nkichi and some other folks hosted. I guess it was a part of Incobra as well. So I was a part of that particular leadership session. And one of the things we talked about at that session was the fact that most of these groups and organizations do not engage in the communities. Even though they may have chapters, even though they may have members, they're not present in our communities. Here, I'm in Philadelphia, and if you actually have a person about Incobra, they wouldn't know what the heck he was talking about. Even though we now have a Philadelphia based on the city. There's a reparations committee here. Now, when they meet and what they do, who the heck knows? But see, this is why it's really important that genuine folks step up, because people are looking at dollars or what they think might be a check. And so they're jumping in. But the integrity, the sincerity, and the genuineness of that is really getting murky, So, again, folks need to pay close attention. Go ahead, Seth.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you, but there's another piece that we have to all be keenly aware of. No one is ever going to say that folks should not get money. However, money is never, ever going to heal the harms and the injuries that we have endured for over 400 years. Some of the reparative efforts must be the healing of ourselves, but also the healing of our communities by, redoing or reassessing and reevaluating healthcare. Just as an example, look at what happened to us during COVID, or something as basic as guaranteed debt services. Again, look at what happened to us with COVID. Quality education. We have public schools, yes, but do we have what we need in those schools to be able to come out and to become fully functional, literate individuals? Other harms have to do with even down to our youth. We need to do more to repair and to heal our youth, whether we want to admit that that's a need or not. It is an injury. So from Incobra's perspective, we never ever going to say no, you shouldn't get a check, but we're also going to say that there has to be the healing, and personally, this is just my personal opinion, not to be shared by anyone else possibly. I believe that we should also be in a situation where when we talk about money, it shouldn't be a one-time, one-off. We should be looking at residual income, not just something that comes once and we race to the bank and we cash it and it's gone. There has to be, when we're done with this, there has to be a guarantee of cessation and non-repetition.
All right. Great. Thank you for that. And this is why, again, we're, presenting and providing this information, because we want people, our people, and I'm very specific. I have to be very specific. We want our people to be able to select intelligently, what they want to join, belong to, support, and so forth. For me, there's no one way here. You see, there's no absolute, and I don't believe there should be. I think that there are variables in everything for the most part. And so particularly when you're talking about certain social political dynamics. So again, we want to provide information and let our people decide on what it is. But I do want to give a point of clarity about something. So I checked with some of the folk who knew Queen Mother Moore directly. And even though I hear you, Sister Kennison, and I know that is the position for Incobra, because, it's out. I mean, that's there. That hasn't changed. But according to the people that I spoke with who knew Queen Mother Moore personally, she wasn't advocating for everyone like that. So that needs to be placed in, I think, in your form, maybe, because that's not what she was talking about. When she said, go get your reparations, children, or children, as she was saying, she wasn't talking about just everybody here, according to the people who knew her. So I just want to give that little sidebar.
And I want to thank you for that. Since I've been in Cobra, that has been the mantra. But since I have conversation with one of the founding members on a regular basis, I want to thank you for that. I'll certainly take that back to her and get more historical information on it. But
Okay,
since I've
great.
been in Cobra, that has been the mantra, and I certainly appreciate that you brought that to my attention.
No problem. No problem. I thank you for receiving it, because sometimes, I run into situations where people get a little bit out. And not that I care, but it still happens. But thank you for, being receptive, because that's what intelligent conversation is about. So again, thank you for that. Okay, let's go to what's coming up this month.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for that. So Incomparable has an annual convention, and the convention will be in DC on June 25th and 26th. We will be hosted by Howard University School of Law, and it's both days. And then on Saturday, we will be hosted by Thurgood Marshall Center down in the U Street corridor. And then on Sunday, we're going to go to Great Falls, and we're going to have historian talk to us about how the canal was built and how Great Falls, portions of Great Falls came to be Great Falls in the land space around it, and the historical relevance as far as our ancestors were involved in developing that. For anyone who we hope you will register, and if nothing else, this is my personal plea. Please, please, please give every consideration to at least registering for one day. And I would say that hopefully will be Thursday, June 25th, because again, we cannot move forward if everyone, and I'm not saying people should not have decisions or opinions. What I'm saying is we cannot move forward if we are not united. And we have to have that united front, because every time we step out and there are 10 different opinions, then those people on the other side are like, well, they're so disorganized, we don't even have to worry about them. And we all know Black families, what craziness went on inside the house stays inside the house. We don't take it outside. And Thursday is going to be an opportunity for us to have a professional debate to talk about the merits of the two. Dr. Kaylee Moharam, and I know I just slaughtered her name, is going to be our guest on the lineage-based side of reparations. And then, of course, there are others. Anyone who wants to have more information, please go to Incobra, that's Incobra, and the number 1.com.
Okay, great. Quick question: is anything going to be virtual?
Quick answer. No. I did advocate for there to be, I tried to get them to do it virtually. And the DC local chapter is the host for the convention. And theirs was, we want people to come to DC. We want people to see the many amazing things that DC has to offer. So unfortunately, no, it will not be a virtual event.
Okay. So, well, that's unfortunate. You know, again, as an organizer, I agree. We try to get people to come physically, but because people are sometimes they have ailments where they can't travel, you have elders, and then you have women with children. So I always find in this day and age to offer something, that people can maybe be a part of, but it is what it is. Okay.
Well,
It is
I
what
will
it is.
I will carry your message back. I will
Oh,
carry your
no,
message back. I have been an advocate. I really have. I've been an advocate
I'm
for
sure
a
you
virtual. I just haven't
yeah.
won the argument.
Wow.
I haven't won that debate yet.
Yep, I get it. Listen, it has taken me 2 decades to recognize that, some of us are, as they say, we march to a different drummer. And I said that unfortunately at a time when I didn't realize what the backlash was going to be. It was kind of like maybe 2000-ish, no, before 2000-ish. So I was invited to speak at a Martin Luther at a Dr. Martin Luther King luncheon thing, right? I was one of the
Mhm.
speakers. And I said something to this effect. I said, if Dr. King was here today, I'm sure he too would want a new trial for Mumia Abu-Jamal. Well,
Okay.
let me tell you, the room went like, and that was the kind of first time that I realized that when people talk about certain issues or justice or whatever, don't necessarily think that they're thinking in the same way that you are. So I'm just saying to say that I get it. I mean, now for us, for MWM, we know we march and walk and jog and whatever to a different drummer. And now we no longer attempt to try to fit in, you know? So it is what it is, but we certainly work with whomever, whenever we can. But it ain't, there used to be a big effort to do that. It isn't now. Okay. So I
That's great
get your
advice.
challenges. Yeah, I get your challenges, sister. Been there, done that, and over with it now. I'm over it. All right. So, oh yeah, I'm over it. It ain't got to worry. All right, my sister. Well, I thank you again. Please give out the website information once more and any other
Sure.
contact information that you want to share.
Sure. The website is Incobra, Ncobra, and the number one, Incobra1.com. And if you would like to reach out to me, again, my name is Kennis, Kenniss, Henry. My email address is all one word, Incobra, LEG as in George, I as in Isaiah, S as in Sam, COM. That's Incobra Legiscom at gmail.com. I read my
All right.
emails faithfully. I promise you I will always respond.
All right. Great. Very good. Thank you so much. All right, family. Well, before we let Sister Candace go, if there's any quick questions or comments that you'd like to share, that you maybe would like to have her respond to, we'll give you that opportunity to do that. We always try to be as interactive as possible. So again, Brother Lumumba, you see anything on your end? Any question, comment?
We do have a couple of folks that joined us in the yard
Okay.
currently. So I want to. Somebody just dropped off. But yeah, let me open up the floor if there's any questions or comments. I think we had Sister Dottie left. We had Sister Segment, but it seemed like she was having some issues. So yeah, let me open up the floor once again for any questions or comments that you may have, family. And for myself, I would just like to say, you know, just encourage your continued excellent work as far as the fight for reparations are concerned, and to applaud you in that effort as well, as far as having that open-ended conversation that is definitely very much needed as it pertains to the what what is somewhat being or becoming type of volatile type of debate, and hopefully cooler heads can prevail, and people can use logic and discernment and use their communication skills to really get their thoughts, points, and ideas across and come to a better understanding about how, as you were saying, how we can move forward more collectively. And even if we agree to disagree, that we don't continue to do things in such a distasteful manner. So thank you for that, Sister Kenneth.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's so profound. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I was almost tempted to turn my phone on, record it, and play it back to people, but I didn't. So thank you so much. And that is the intent. We have to, at some point, sit down, break a few olive branches, and begin to have professional discussions and debates on this topic without the vitriol and the divisiveness.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right. With that being said, I want to open up the floor one more time for any questions or comments. All right. Oh, looks like we have a Sister Anita Bell that's joining us.
All right. Anita Bell
Sister
in Cobra. Anita Bell in Cobra, Detroit's in the house.
Anita.
Yes.
All right, greetings, greetings. How's everything this evening?
Oh, just I was going to turn off my mic because my air conditioning is not working, and so I'm hot as blazing.
Oh yeah, it's all good. I got my
You're
fan
in
on
Detroit. You're in Detroit. You should be cool in Detroit.
But Phoenix, I know you're right. I know, but it's hot here too.
Call 202-456-1111 or 1414 and tell the man at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue it's right hot in Michigan and it shouldn't be like that.
Listen, that reminds me, since I have both of you on, what are your thoughts about, Brother Moomba, what is the fund that what is it that they calling this reparations? They're not saying the word reparations.
The
that
anti-weaponization.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. What are your thoughts about that, Sister Kenneth and Sister Anita?
Go ahead, Kenneth.
So,
sit here and just
a couple of things right quick. One, as I was telling Queen Sister Empress, that the Republicans for the past 2 legislative sessions, they have sponsored a bill that if anybody should get reparations, there is something called the no bailout. They're just going to take away all your, you know how they do, take away all your funding, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. How profound, if I can use that word, that they would push to have exactly what they're penalizing everybody else for. So as far as I am concerned, the other piece of it is, I think that, you know, with the swiftness that they were able to come up with the money and begin to say they're going to be making these distributions of funds, when ever since I've been in this movement, we have been told there's no way to come up with an algorithm. We don't know, you know, how we would be able to do reparations because there's a statute of limitations. We all know that's not true. There's no statute of limitations on crimes against humanity. Now the gravest crimes against humanity. And all of a sudden, these folk are getting monies, and there is an algorithm to determine how much they get. Well, my take is take the algorithm, multiply by at least 400, and that's the reparations we should be able to get as a starter. I'm not sure that I want that as a one all be all do all, but as a starter. Uh, all that has happened, if we really wanted to sit down and peel back the layers, is they just gave us, I think, the foundation for what we can take and go back to them and say, we don't have to go through all of this studies and commissions, et cetera, et cetera. You didn't go through any studies. You didn't go through any commissions. We want to be where you are. And we want reparations with the same swiftness that you were able to come up with $1.8 billion and who you want to get that, to get those funds. Now, Justin Hansford, attorney Justin Hansford from Howard University School of Law, he's a professor there. He actually has an amazing article in the Roots, on the Roots website, that says exactly that. You know, DJ 47 just laid out the overall template for what we should be able to do now to go ahead and say, this is what we want, this is how we want it. Now, I think part of what happened while they're sort of vacillating now, yes, it will, no, it won't, it's permanently dead. Well, no, not really. I'm pretty sure they heard, because a whole lot of us were like, okay, we all want to make sure all 49 million members of the diaspora fill out the same application the rest of them fill out, and we're going to blow you all up with requests for compensation. And that's what we should do. You know, you got that kind of money, we want our share of it. So I talk too much. Unfortunately, that's a bad thing about me. I talk too much. But
oh no, not at all.
That's kind of how I feel about it. I think we just take that and we say, look, it didn't take you but a minute to figure out this is what they're going to get. This is the process. This is where you're going to send your application. Okay, fine. This is where you're going to send your application. This is where we send it out. It's all 49 million of us. So, and if you turn us all down, we should be able to have a major campaign. I won't use the word negative. I'll just say campaign, and point out, you know, this is how this is rolling. They were the perpetrators. Last time I said they were the perpetrators, and they're being rewarded for being perpetrators. And we have been the injured party for centuries. And you continue to say there's no just cause for us to be compensated or repaired or healed. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, sister. No, you don't talk too much. We need to hear.
I guess I can ready to, my answer would not be much longer, because the 1.8 billion that, of course, that Trump had to redeem victims of lawfare and weaponization, which he felt like those people who were convicted of sedition or against the government about the January 6th rebellion or riots or however you want to characterize it. Him trying to give them compensation for them experiencing weaponization of a government is kind of laughable. It truly is. And yet what I tell Black people is also, like Kenneth said, go ahead and put your claim in and here's where we put it in strategically to say, this is what we're talking about, weaponization of a government. When the government does such and such and such and such to us. I can use examples here in Detroit all day long. Would they like to see what part of $1.8 million they would like to give us for Detroit? And if that's the case, We're talking about wrongs that have been done to us, not talking about slavery or Jim Crow or lynching. I'm talking about the last 40 years. Last 20 years, shoots, ever since bankruptcy, because Detroit was the largest municipal bankruptcy in 2013, which is only 13 years ago. So just in the last 13 years, what have you done that wronged us? And I do have a list if everybody else is in denial, because those same people who would have done it to us, they would have been Black, they would have been Democrats. It would be so difficult to say when it's Black on Black crime, it's racism. But it's not difficult to call it RICO. And with that, I yield.
Yeah, I just have one more bizarre thing to say. Definitely, every member of the diaspora should submit a claim. The other thing, this is so sick, I think. C-SPAN, I think it is, has these open lines where you call in. Republicans have a line, Democrats have a line, and the independents have a line. I think it would have to be carefully crafted, but every day 100 or so of us should call in once we submit our applications. And we should just have a message to the listening audience. And if you've never listened to them, you owe it to yourself. Because the ones that call in on the Republican line, oh my goodness, they are so conservative. They're beyond being conservative. But I think that, we should have a campaign. We put our application in. Has anybody heard anything? Whatever the campaign is, I'm just talking off the top of my head on what the verbiage should be. But I think that we need to do a better job in cases like this of reaching the masses, and tons of people from around the country call into those numbers. I was amazed. I listened to them the other day. I could not believe it. So I just think that, we can do some things and antagonize some folk and not even touch them.
Ashe. All right. All right, family. Well, you heard it right here, live and in living color, straight and raw. So before we close this segment out, we're going to ask if there's any other questions or comments. Feel free to bring it. Okay. I see a Shirley Baxter somewhere. Oh, Shirley Baker, right? Just popped in. Okay. So apparently there's no questions or comments. You don't see anything in the chat, Brother Lumumba?
Everything in the chat I was putting up on the screen.
Oh, okay. Got you. Okay. All righty. All right. Well, I guess that is it. Sister Anita, before we let you go, anything happening in Detroit right now relevant to this topic?
Not to the topic specifically about the weaponization, no. But what we are doing in Detroit on next Sunday, not tomorrow, but on Sunday, June 14th, we are having our regular Incomparable Detroit meeting. However, during that meeting, we're going to have a presentation that talks about blockchain reparations from the perspective of unrigging reparations. And that's going to be a topic where I'll explore all of that. But in talking about how we unrig reparations with blockchain, we are going to have a guest with us from the UN Working Group on Experts of People of African Descent. And we are inviting other guests as well to talk specifically from an international level about how we can do things without asking for, we can do reparations without asking for permission. Or even waiting for a government to be kind enough to recognize that they've done us wrong. It's those days of waiting to be, those days of waiting are over. And so now we're at the time where we're exercising self-sovereignty and deciding for ourselves, do we want to be free? And when we tell that truth to ourselves and decide this is what we want to do, and we do it for ourselves, if necessary by ourselves, but we have to do this for ourselves, because waiting for somebody else to save us has caused us to not be saved. And at least from a mother perspective, that's not what I would do for my children. The most ferocious animal on the planet is a mother protecting her young. And so I learned that from my son. I learned that from my son. The things you learn from your children, you become what you have to become to protect them. And so with that, we're having the Incobra Detroit meeting that'll be available. You can find it on Eventbrite. You can find it on Event Noir. You can find it on reparationsworld.com. But just register for it, because we like to know who's in the room, because some people have left very nasty chats and so forth. But that happens when you grow. When you grow, new levels, new devils. So when you grow, new levels, new devils. So you just have to learn how to manage the chaos. And that's where we have people register. But other than that, please come. We have room for everybody between doing this on TikTok Live and doing it also through, not Zoom anymore. Zoom has failed me too many times, but through another, like Google Meet. And you'll get that when you register. You'll get the Google Meet link.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's what I was referring to. I was referring to reparations repair, not the weaponization stuff. So you hit it right on the nose. All right, family. Here we are. All right, Sister Kenneth, since you was our guest for tonight, we're going to leave with closing comments from you.
I think the only thing I'm going to say is we have to remember we can't keep trying to go to the oppressor. We, the oppressed, can't go to the oppressor to become healed, to become repaired. We have to do for ourselves, and we have to do for ourselves in the spirit of Ubuntu. We have to do for ourselves in the spirit of unity and solidarity. I really do believe that. I believe in it strongly. And as you said, there are all of these, some I assume are, Hollywood trending efforts at reparations, but have no substance. And we always have to be mindful of the fact that the work we do should always be for the people. And with that, I'm healed and whole.
Okay. Absolutely. Well, let it be on record that I am inviting both of you to 2 upcoming programs, events for MWM. Actually, it's 3 since you mentioned Ubuntu. On August the 23rd, we plan to be in New York. That will be an official public reading and interaction or action that gives a note of thanks and appreciation to 123 countries. And of course, the formation of our committee that begins to examine where do we go from here. So we invite all of you to join us in New York on the 23rd of August, which of course is the International Day of Remembrance of the slave trade and its abolishment or abolition. So again, that's August the 23rd. And then of course we'll be in DC for the commemoration of the 75th year anniversary of the call to Negro women. Well, we'll be there with the call to the universal Black woman. And this is one of the announcements that we want to make, because the 1951 call to Negro women, which of course included, Shirley Du Bois, Eslander Robeson, Lucille Patterson. It was so many, Bea Richards, Queen Mother Moore. So they issued that call to come to Washington, and we are commemorating and honoring them. One of their demands, of course, was to meet with the President of the United States. Well, we're not interested in meeting with the President of the United States, but we are interested in meeting with representatives from the Catholic Church and also some of the other churches that were involved in slavery. And we also want to meet with some of the corporations that not only were involved, but the corporations of today that support our demands. So that's what's going to be happening in DC from September 29th through October the 3rd. And we plan to have a reparations rally also. So y'all heard it first here on New Day. That last part, we just shared that last part. We had to share that it was. Okay, but you'll be getting.
Thank you for your invitation.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. See, we are very inclusive. Well, at least we try to be. We haven't received that kind of stuff over the years, but it's okay because it's all duly noted. But we will do, as I mentioned to many others in past times, we are going to do what our ancestors would want us to do by any and all means necessary. And that means to do the right thing. So again, we thank our sisters for joining us tonight. And again, next week, we will have Sister Keisha and Brother Divine from FBA. So you know it's going to be hot, hot, hot. If you ever heard Sister Keisha, you know that's going to be on fire. But in a very productive, positive, and needless to say, informative kind of way. So again, I want to thank Sister Nita and certainly Sister Kenneth for joining us tonight, both from Incomparable. Ashe.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure, and wishing your listening audience an amazing rest of their evening.
Thank you. All right, family. I'm going to check in with Chairman Fred. For those who do not know, he was incarcerated for a day, which was a day too much, but you know how that, yeah, definitely, Brother Moomba. But y'all know how that goes. So I spoke with him a little while ago. He was on the road. He had to speak at a funeral in New Orleans and was on his way to. So I'm not going to give you the location, but somewhere else. So hopefully, because he wasn't sure about reception on the road. So I'm going to check in to see, if he's able to call in. And if not, he told me he will definitely make himself available sometime this week. So we might have to do a special edition because I want to make sure that you all hear from him specifically as to what happened a few days ago when he was to go to trial, or go to court rather. I want y'all to hear the whole story. I don't want to even go into it. I want you to hear it from him. What happened to bring the situation to what it was, and what has happened since then, and so forth and so on. At any rate, if we are not able to have him on live, again, we will schedule him later this week. And you'll get a notice on that. But we do have a statement, or shall we say an overview that was prepared by Brother Kalanji that we will read to you in the event that we can't get him on the line. Because again, he's literally on the road traveling from one state to the other. In the meantime, I'm going to call him though, see what's going on. Brother Moomba, I sent you 2 more clips. And so we're going to share those clips while I make this phone call real quick. For those of you who might have missed the first part of our salute to Saint Callie House, here's 2 more clips that just kind of reiterates what we shared earlier. And I want to also remind those of you who are a little more into research or whatever, please feel free to research Mother Callie House. Look at the lawsuit that she filed. In 1915, very, very important. And so when you know that these are some of the things that our people actually have done, then clearly we don't need to be starting from a place that some folks think they need to be starting from. Anyway, you all get what I'm saying. But again, We're going to look at a couple of clips, and I'm going to try to reach out to Chairman Fred and see what's going on with that, and we'll be right back.
The early 1900s, one Black woman built a powerful movement for reparations. But have you heard her story? This is the story of Callie House. A formerly enslaved woman, she organized a massive grassroots movement. Her organization, the National Ex-Slave Mutual Relief, Bounty and Pension Association, had hundreds of thousands of members across the country who petitioned the government for pensions. But her power and influence caught the attention of federal authorities. They accused her of mail fraud, a charge which led to her imprisonment and the dismantling of her powerful organization. Callie House's case is a powerful example of how the legal system was used to suppress a Black leader and a movement for economic justice. It's a key part of the untold history of the fight for civil rights. Follow, like, and share this if you believe history should not be forgotten. Share it to spread awareness, and follow for more untold stories from American history.
All right. Let me stop my screen share there, family. And I have one more clip for you all. So let me pull that up, and I'll have that for you in a second. Okay. Let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, here we go.
Did you know the most powerful reparations movement in American history was led by a former slave woman whose name was deliberately erased from textbooks? Meet Callie House. Born into slavery in Tennessee, she did something incredible in the 1890s. She organized over 300,000 former slaves into the National Ex-Slave Mutual Relief, Bounty and Pension Association. For 25 cents each, she promised them what seemed impossible: government pensions just like Civil War veterans received. Callie traveled through dangerous Jim Crow territory, holding secret meetings in churches and homes. Death threats followed her everywhere, but her movement worked too well. The federal government panicked as hundreds of thousands of Black Americans united behind one demand: compensation for centuries of stolen labor. So they destroyed her. In 1917, they arrested 69-year-old Callie House on fake mail fraud charges. They threw her in prison and killed her organization. The message was clear: Black Americans shouldn't demand what they're owed. Today's reparations discussions exist because of Callie House's courage, yet most people have never heard her name.
All right. Let me stop my screen share there. Okay, so there's some additional information, family, as it pertains to what we call Saint Mother Callie House, one of the forerunners and mothers of the reparation movement.
When you look at the timeline, you can see how the Callie House movement led into the Marcus Garvey movement. And Marcus Garvey was the weaponization of government, which is so interesting.
Isn't it though?
Isn't it though? Because mail fraud is real. Let's be real. It is real. And when they do it, it's okay. Or when even some of us do it for them, it's okay. But let us put something in the mail because it's too far for us to take it ourselves, and suddenly whatever message we're sending is fraud. It's not that it's fraud. It's an attack and weaponization of the mailing system against freedom of speech. There's a difference between fraud and RICO, or there's a difference between freedom of speech and racketeering or fraud. So, but I don't want to go too legal because that bores people, especially on a Saturday night. But long story short, the same weaponization of government that was deployed against Callie House's reparation movement was deployed against Marcus Garvey's. The same charges, same incarceration. And for those of us in the reparations movement now, it can still be equally as threatening, or a different type of threat is available, because government will still weaponize itself to not pay us what they owe.
Absolutely, absolutely. And thank you for that addition, Sister Anita. I mean, the contrast is so stark, it's almost unbelievable how that could even dare be something that was stated and put into legislation, as if we don't have this long-standing history of the government being weaponized against the descendants of African people, and the litany of legislation that has been enacted in order to have a continuation of oppression, degradation, and repression of our people. So, um, I mean, if you didn't see it in black and white, I mean, it's almost unbelievable, unbelievable, family.
Well, it's unbelievable for those people who make excuses for what we now shouldn't call white supremacy, but we should call, I like the new term, white narcissism. And when Black people are codependent on it and sort of apologize for it as well, and we make apologies or we forgive or all kinds of codependency mechanisms that we could use. I call it the psychological Olympics that we do to justify abandoning and betraying and not loving ourselves enough to put 10 toes down and say, stop, stop. So, I mean, just ask for a little bit of respect. You might get some, but respect yourself enough to ask for it. So that's the kind of place where we are, but it is an awakening that is taking place among our people, where more and more of us are becoming self-loving to the extent that we are not going to keep enduring the disrespect and yet be expected to serve in militaries and fight wars against people who would pay us reparations for people who wouldn't pay us anything. We are tired of that.
Absolutely, absolutely. We will not just go silently in the night. Those days are long gone and over with.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
right. Okay. Excellent. Let me see if I can come back to Sister Empress if we have made contact with our brother.
Okay, unfortunately, no, which means he is probably in a dead zone or on the road or whatever, but I haven't been able to get through to him yet. So, Brother Lumumba, if you will check your email, there is a press release that we are able to that we're able to share, and it will at least kind of give folks a little bit of information about what has happened. So check
I did get a text message, but I do not see the email.
Okay, check now. You should have it now. I did send it to the email. I mean, I did send it to the text, but you should have it also in the email now.
All right, I got it now.
Okay.
Okay.
All
right. So yeah, let me go ahead and share the screen there. Put that on the big screen.
Okay.
All right, let me share that. Okay. All right, so this is the press release here, family, for immediate release. This is a call to action right now. The architecture of this defense is built on the unshakable bonds of the community, from Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. at the center to his family, to the local Chicago community, to national legal networks, and even to international human rights bodies. Every circle must be activated right now. We need bodies in that courtroom on June 17th and July 7th. We need legal voices adding their names to this fight. We need cultural voices, artists, musicians, journalists, telling the story in every medium available. We need the legal community to recognize, as the National Conference of Black Lawyers has, that when protective order laws are misused as instruments of political persecution, they cause dual harm. They silence constitutionally protected speech and organizing, and they erode the integrity of protections that real survivors urgently need. And we need every single person reading this to understand this is not a routine criminal matter. It is a wound that runs 50 years deep, 56 years deep, excuse me. Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. was prosecuted for returning to the ground where his father was unalived. His release today is not the end. It is the beginning of the next phase of a fight that has been ongoing since and before December 4th, 1969. Sign the petition, show up to court, spread the word. He will not be deterred from his legitimate movement work. Neither will we. All right, sign the petition. You have the link there. Watch Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. full statement. Also, Chairman Fred Hampton Jr.'s website. And then there is also the PayPal for any contribution of donations. A revolution can never be extinguished. All power to the people. All right, so I'll work to put the links inside of the chat, and folks can follow up on those.
Okay, Brother Lumumba, also check your email again, because there was another document, and I couldn't tell if it was on my device. I couldn't tell if it was the same one or a different one. So when you get a chance, check that. In the meantime, family, to just give you a little sidebar information, about a year or so ago, there was an event held in Chicago that was a play or some other kinds of things that was focusing on Chairman Fred Hampton Jr.'s father, Chairman Fred Hampton Sr. And this particular thing was orchestrated by the city and some other kind of bourgeoisie people. But the thing that was very disturbing is that Chairman Fred and his mother were not included. And so we've seen that kind of stuff happen here in Philly. They tried it with me, and they had a crude awakening on that one. But this is the kind of thing that people do if they think they can get away with it, to try to sidetrack our movements, to try to, character assassinate, various people that they know they cannot buy or manipulate. And again, Chairman Fred went to the event that was talking about his father. And when he got there, there was security there that told him that he could not enter. And so there was some verbal, nothing physical. There was some verbal words that were said. And of course, he placed it on Facebook. He, showed it. It wasn't like a secret or anything, but you could literally see the security people telling him that he couldn't come in. And this is something that was about his father. And so he raised the issue. Anyway, to fast forward, the female who was one of the key orchestrators of this whole fiasco then called the police and said that he was stalking her because he had confronted her previously about some other stuff that she and others were doing in regards to misrepresenting his father, or at least as far as he was concerned, and his family were concerned. Anyway, charges were brought against him for this, and he had to go to court. So on June the 3rd, I forget which day, one day this week, I think it was the 3rd, he was to appear in court. But before that court case could be presented, he was arrested, supposedly for an outstanding warrant. So for 24 hours, he was incarcerated. But this again just demonstrates or gives you how things can and often do operate. Now remember, Chairman Fred just came back from Africa, where he met with some very progressive people and put in place a chapter chapter of one of the entities that he is involved in. Right, so he was in Ghana and a couple other locations. So for me, it's not coincidental that all this other stuff is now going on. If you study our movements, you will see some very similar things happen quite often, and so it kind of goes with the territory. But anyway, Brother Mumba, was that the same document? Were you able to check that?
There was one additional document.
Okay.
So I can read that. It might be a precursor to that second follow-up document.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Let me go ahead and share that now.
Okay.
I'll read it off. Okay. So this is a press release again for immediate release. Now this is some background information. Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. was, Chairman Fred Hampton Sr. was assassinated at 21 years old because he was effective, because he built coalitions, organized across racial lines, and refused to compromise his commitments to the people. In 1969, the state issued an informant, a drug, and a bullet. In 2026, the oppressors within our midst use a non-contact order, a warrant, and a courtroom. The entire legal battle surrounding this case is, at its core, a contest over identity, legacy, and who controls the narrative of the Black Panther Party. To state that the son of Chairman Fred Hampton of the Black Panther Party not be allowed at 2337 West Chairman Fred Hampton Way is equivalent to stating that the offspring of Malcolm X not be allowed entry into the Audubon Ballroom, or the children of Dr. Martin Luther King be stopped from coming on the grounds of the Lorraine Motel. This is the constitutional claim. That is the human claim. The legal fight ahead. Know these dates. The court imposed no GPS monitor and found no imminent threat, yet the case continues. There are two parallel legal proceedings, and the community must be present for both. The first is criminal case, People versus Fred Hampton Jr. case, number 25DV 7559701, misdemeanor charge for violation of a no contact order arising from Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. present at his father's memorial on December 3rd, 2025. The second is the civil case, Wills versus Hampton Jr. case number 2025 OP 77263, in which the defense is pursuing dismissal and vacation of the no contact order on grounds that it is unconstitutionally overboard as applied, was procured through misleading representations, and operates as an instrument of abuse of process as a vehicle of political persecution. Thereafter, the next court date is June 17, 2026 at 9 a.m. Central Time. Courtroom 402-555 West Harrison Street, Chicago. The next scheduled court date will be held on July 7th, 2026 at 10 a.m. Central Time. We are calling the entire community to show up to both.
All right. Thank you, Brother Lumumba. And so Sister Pam Africa and Brother Raza Khan were in fact there in Chicago for the whatever happened this past week. They called us as soon as it happened. So, you know, again, we will keep you all abreast as things continue. And again, as soon as Chairman Fred gets to where he needs to be later tonight, or tomorrow, we'll connect and again let you know when we'll actually have him on so that he can go into more detail about, you know, what it is that has happened and what the projection is now. So, okay, you got it. Thank you, Brother Mumba, again, and thank you, Sister Anita, for chiming in on the fact that, and this is important, that, you know, we talk about the Honorable Marcus Garvey, we talk about what happened to him, but you rarely hear about what happened to St. Callie House prior to that. And for me, this just is another demonstration or example as to how our women are just kind of pushed to the side when it comes to them being, outspoken and very involved in certain kinds of things. I mean, I'm just learning so much about some of our women, particularly in the 1800s. And particularly after so-called emancipation, even prior to that. But it's just amazing. And we'll be presenting some of the findings that we now have next year when we introduce the National Black Women's History Curriculum. We got to do that, because if we don't, our sisters will not be able to be known in terms of their work. That we see.
I agree with you, because part of what happened, Black genocide, it based upon Torah or scripture, is going to go after the man. So that would go after the Black man. But slavery was based upon the Black woman. That was the Latin or Roman law of partus sequitur ventrum that started more than 2,000 years ago. So the genocide of slavery that we're saying was 400 years ago actually was more than 400 years ago and closer to 2,200 years ago. But when you try to liberate the Black man without liberating his mother, you don't liberate either. Because the Black man's slavery was based upon the womb he came out of, not who his mother was.
Ooh, excuse me.
And so if you try to free him without freeing his mama, you free neither. That is the truth. The truth makes you free. So what you're saying is very, very important, Empress, that the Black woman's perspective from Callie House, who was the foundation for Marcus Garvey. We don't get our roses when we're alive, and we don't get a byline or a footnote when we're dead. But we have to keep their name alive, and that's how we pour the libations for her on a night like tonight.
Ashe. Woo. Go ahead, Benita. Absolutely. Well, that puts some real oomph in today's Saint Callie House Day. And that's why we've created 30 Sister Saints. And next year, we'll be providing you with new posters and other kinds of, and we're working on the coloring book, by the way, family. So these are some of the things that we want our children to be able to know of these women, of our people, but in this particular case, of our women. So we'll keep you abreast of that. And by the way, if you have a young person, student in your family who's an artist, let us know, because we want to feature some of our young artists in some of our projects that are illustrators or graphic designers or what have you. We want them to get the kind of recognition, exposure, and experience in being involved in some of our projects. So next year is MWM 30. We're looking for T-shirts. We're looking for all kinds of different things that is going to be made available next year. And again, we want to include our young folks, our youth, our young adults, our students. And so they don't have to necessarily be art students per se, but because some of them have that gift just basic already. And again, if you know of someone in your community or in your family that you think would be interested in being a part of our student cadre of artists, by all means, let us know. NationalMWM at AOL.com. NationalMWM at AOL.com is where you can connect with us. Or A Million Black Women Rising, which is AMBR forever at gmail.com. Again, AMBR, the letter 4, EVER at gmail.com. All right. All right, Brother Mumba, I guess there's a couple other things that I want to share with folks again in terms of St. Cali House. For those who do not know, there is a Cali House Research Center. Oh, yeah. I'm sure most didn't know that, but there is one. It's in Tennessee. Yep. And we will be connecting with them very soon, but there is that. And interestingly enough, it's not at a Black campus. How about that? I mean, it's just amazing to me, some of this stuff. You can't make it up. It's so insane. And interestingly enough, it's at Vanderbilt University.
Wow.
I know you got something faces, Anita.
A female college.
Vanderbilt?
I'm trying to remember.
No, there's a female college in Atlanta, Spelman. Right. I don't believe Vanderbilt.
Well, it wasn't meant for Black females, but is Vanderbilt a female college?
I don't believe so. I'll check and see, but I don't believe it's female. But I'll check. But goodness. I mean, doesn't this kind of give it a good example of something, folks, that here, something like that would be at a European, Western type institution, the Cali House Research Center?
But they put that in Nashville? Wow.
Right.
I'm like, even blue people? Wow. I know. That does blow your mind. Boom. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little interesting to say the least. But on another note, there's a book for those who would like to read more about St. Cali House from a more scholastic perspective. I mean, there's a lot of articles and other things, Wikipedia and blah, blah, blah. But from a academia or scholastic frame of reference or literary, you might want to check out a book called My Face is Black is True. And written by Mary Frances Berry. Dr. Mary Frances Berry.
Okay.
And to be honest with you, for many, that's really how we got as much information as we did at that time. It was from that book. There was not a lot of information on St. Cali House. That book really opened the door. So I have to give some credit where it's due. So the initial kind of information that was put out to bring greater attention to the work of St. Cali House came from Mary Frances Berry.
Wow. Okay.
And the book again is called My Face is Black is True.
Okay. Wow. All right. Wow. All right. Well, yes, I'm checking all these resources, and as fast as I can type, I know that's what we do nowadays. We double check everything.
That's right.
Vanderbilt is not a woman's university. I'm confusing it with other colleges, like you said, in Atlanta, like Spelman and so forth. Right. Yeah, but it is amazing that Tennessee, anywhere in Tennessee, remember Cali.
I know.
Are you kidding? Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. See, we do our homework here in the UK, y'all, as you can tell.
Yeah, but that is, we have to wonder what reality we're in, because Black people are like gods and goddesses that they worship and still hate at the same time. Right. So that they still worship us. They still kind of if they, I don't know how to describe this. It's not love, because nothing that's doing that to you, nothing that's hurting you like that is called love. And so I don't want to make it sound like that, but it is a strange sort of fascination where a university would honor a woman from the state that actually is representative of incarcerating her, shutting down a reparations movement. They'll say now, oh, we don't want to pay reparations because no slaves were alive. But when the slaves were alive, you didn't want to pay it then either. It's like, make up your mind. You just don't want to pay. That's the bottom line. Whether they're alive, whether their children are alive, if you have to kill every one of them in order to keep from paying, which is your intention, but that hasn't happened because of something supernatural. So,
and if I could add in really quickly, went from love to infatuation to obsession, and now envy, jealousy, and so forth. So it has reached its pinnacle and then descended all the way to the depths of hell. All right.
I don't even know if I want to call that a pinnacle, because whatever they called love did not make us feel love. It made us feel enslaved. And
Well,
so
initially when they came in, it was all grins, it was all laughs and giggles. They were doing trade and so forth, up until where they saw, all of the wealth, all of the beauty, all of the majesty, and then I was like, wait a minute, we don't got all of this. Hold on, we don't do this, we don't do that. Oh no, we gotta put an end to this. And so that's when those realizations start to take effect, I believe, mentally, and then especially once it became a realization of the aspects of inferiority, genetically, then that really, sent them through a tizzy, and so we have what we have present day, where they can't reconcile with their mix of emotions and bring some type of balance to the barbarianism.
and that's also part of their weaponry, where if we spend our creativity on gold, on diamonds, on masks, making them out of bronze, if we spend our creativity on that while they use the same creativity to make bombs, then what actually did happen is that their creativity was able to overwhelm a creativity that's based on peace. So yes, their weapons, they weaponized whatever they weaponized. They were able to overwhelm us because our inventions were not based on war, but based on peace. And it's not like we have now become equal with them in weapons of warfare. We don't have a nuke. We don't need to have one. That's the other side. I just explained the light side. The dark side is you don't want to give us one. But we are the place where you get the lithium from just to even make, or any of the uranium or whatever it takes to make the things that cause bombs. You get that from Africa. You don't even get that from Europe. And what we haven't learned how to do, and probably never will learn how to do, is how to make inventions that cause mass destruction. It's not in our nature.
We have more of that spiritual power. That's what we got to tap back into. We got to tap
There
back
you
into
go.
Mother Nature, the universe, and the omniverse, and get into the creator's essence and energies and spirits, so we can reclaim and retake our rightful place and position on this planet. With that
Yeah.
being said, if I could, I just wanted to segue really quickly. This is Black Music Month as well.
Yep.
As we celebrate Black Music Month, I wanted to just play clips just to give some reverence and reference to, once again, another aspect and level of our magistry.
Ashe, absolutely.
Right.
What up, everyone? What up, what up? Thank y'all for listening. Yeah, very much appreciated. Shout out We get your money, hits, play get it. Queens out there getting greatest hits. Spanish Harlem. We talking greatest hits. Baby, I love you. We talking greatest hits. Natural woman. Play that song. This is that spectacle. Mesmerized. Told them that I set up my.
My apologies. That was the wrong one. Let me get the right one. My apologies. Be sure this one's dead. Okay, here we go, family.
Kenny Gamble is actually, I call him the father of Black Music Month because he came to Nashville and saw what the Country Music Association was doing with the Hall of Fame and the Grand Ole Opry, and was inspired by the unity amongst country artists. And after that visit, he came back to Philadelphia and along with a few other people decided to start the Black Music Association to kind of mirror what the CMAs were doing. And I was involved on the local level in the local Philadelphia chapter. Chapters were created around the country. And because Gamble and I have worked together on so many projects, I worked very actively to get June Black Music Month recognized in Congress and by President Bill Clinton. So I was hosting a music conference in DC, and I wrote President Clinton asking would he host a reception at the White House, much like President Jimmy Carter had done in the late 70s for the BMA, for the Black Music Association. And Clinton's people said, oh, we see where Carter had done this reception, but he did not sign the presidential proclamation. So why don't you go get some legislation and then come back to the White House? Oh, okay. I was shocked to hear that when I called Gamble and told him. He was surprised as well. But I spent the next few years of my life lobbying senators, congressmen, writing an editorial in Billboard, just what I call a high level of music activism, where I was in people's faces constantly saying, Black music is more than feel good. It's more than snapping your finger, bobbing your head, dancing. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry. We don't tend to think of it that way, but that's what it is. It's one of America's greatest exports around the world. And so I was successful with the assistance of Congressman Shaka Fatah of Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. Took a minute, but we got the legislation passed that said June is Black Music Month. And then I was invited to the White House for a private meeting with President Bill Clinton, and that was pretty heady. And this all was on the strength of me writing a very passionate letter about my belief in Black music. And I say Black music equals American music. So I'm identifying it by the group of people who have created it, but it is indigenous to the United States of America. So it is one of America's greatest creations that has come from the wellspring of the Black experience. And it's music for the world, but for everybody, but it was created by Black people. Gospel, blues, jazz, you name it, rock music. You know, last year we honored Little Richard. He's one of the architects of rock music, period. You know, so Mick Jagger knows it. So does Eric Clapton. Many of the British rockers, they cited Muddy Waters and others as their influences. And so that body of music, all genres, all variations of it, I love, and I advocate for that. And so after I got the legislation passed and met with President Clinton several times in the Oval Office, I felt like we were on our way. And somewhere around the world, there has been some recognition or celebration of June Black Music Month. So I call Kenny Gamble the father of Black Music Month. Others have called me the mother. I take it. I have nurtured this baby. I have breastfed. I've made food from scratch. I have raised this child and will continue to do until I have no breath in me.
All right.
Kenny Gamble is actually, I call him the father.
Let me stop this.
And interestingly enough, we will be paying tribute to Deanna Williams along with Mama Sonia Sanchez and Mama Vanoka Michaels. Yep. As a part of this year's 29-year anniversary of the historic Million Woman March. So that'll take place in October, and you'll be hearing more about it as we move into the rest of the year. Brother Moomba, for a follow-up, check your email because you know, you're right. This is Black Music Month, and we did something yesterday on groundings with Brother Shamari. And one of the things that I shared with everyone is in connecting our music, particularly the genre of what's known now today as hip hop / rap. A lot of people don't know some of the pioneer folk that really were not only inspirational, but was doing that thing years ago. Here in Philadelphia, we had a DJ, and we also pointed out how at a period of time when you were in broadcasting, you were also involved in movement stuff. And yesterday we talked about that with DJs that were here in Philly that were definitely about Black music. They weren't mixing this stuff up, y'all, like folks do today with what Brother Del Jones called culture bandits. But Black music was indeed the call of the day, and it was utilized to mobilize our people, to organize our people. And we had disc jockeys, DJs, as they're called, that were not only about the music, but they were also about the movement. And so one of them, his name was Jocko. So Brother Lumumba's going to share with you something from 1979. Now, by the way, Sister Deanna Williams, of course, was involved with Philadelphia International. And what you're getting ready to hear is one of the famous songs from Philadelphia International, but done before the lyrics were sung, there was a rap put to it. And this is it, 1979. Pay close attention. You would think it might be today, but no, 1979, Philly International. And again, this is a connection to today's hip hop rap. Let's go. Uh-oh, something happened. It stopped.
You know, I had to pause. I had to stop you short. I don't think you'll be able to play this due to copyright.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought we can play a little bit. Isn't it like how many seconds we can play of it?
About 30 seconds.
Okay, so let's play 30 seconds.
Okay.
I'm the best in the world, you can bet on that. Ain't here to put nobody down, but pound for pound, I'm the best around. I'm the middleweight champ at 163. You gotta be bad to hang with me. You gotta rock.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. 1979. And he says rap. All right, family. Like we say, know what you're talking about. All right. Well, listen, thank you for that clip on Sister Deanna Williams, Brother Lumumba. And family, thank you all for tuning into this segment of New Day Resurrection and Liberation. Hope you got something out of it. I'm sure you did. You had to. So at any rate, I'm going to go to Sister Anita, see if there's any closing comments from her, and then we're going to get ready to get out of here.
Oh, no, just thank you so much for letting me come on tonight. I know I'm not always available when you send the text, but thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you for being there, sis. All right. Any more closing comments or questions before we close out? All right. What's your thoughts about tonight, Brother Lumumba? I thought it was dynamite.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Great information, insight, and once again, uncovering and rediscovering some hidden Black history. So that's always a gem.
Oh yeah. No doubt, no doubt. All right. Well, we want to remind everyone tomorrow, 7 o'clock, our weekly Ubuntu. You heard Sister Kenneth mention the word Ubuntu. Well, we're actually developing it into a movement, and the first phase is focusing on music, arts, and culture. So tomorrow, we invite you to join us at 7. If you are a visual or performing artist, now is the time for you to sign up. We're going to make a few adjustments because folks are moving a little too slowly on this. And so we may make a few adjustments to accommodate the kind of whatever it is that's going on with people right now. It's just weird to me, but it is what it is. But I can guarantee you we are still going to be in New York on August the 23rd, and we will do the announcement or the reading of the note of appreciation and thanks to 123 countries and begin to form the commission that will meet with them on a regular basis to determine where do we go from here. Now, if folks think we're going to keep waiting for them, they got another thing coming. We've put this information out there enough already for people to make moves. They haven't in the way that we had hoped, and so we're going to move forward. But we can tell you that when we do start meeting with the various representatives from countries to examine how we can support one another, don't think folks are just going to be jumping in when they see things are moving. That's not going to happen. So, giving you a heads up. So, okay, we're going to get ready to close out. Brother Muma, let folks know how they can check in with us tomorrow at 7 for our weekly Ubuntu meeting. Oh, and before you do, I want to thank Brother Charles Barron for one of our special sessions for those who are interested in becoming an elected official in their city. We're doing to get more prepared and also to build our independent kinds of operations from a political perspective. And so we want to thank Brother Charles Barron for again having one of the special sessions with us for those who are interested in running for a political office in the future. And he will be joining us again in another week or so. So those who are interested, you need to register for that particular session. And again, we invite anyone that's serious, by the way. Got to be serious, and we'll give you that information. So again, Brother Lumumba, share with the folk how they can connect with us tomorrow.
Yes, you can tap in via our YouTube page that is under Lumumba Uncaged. The Facebook as well, Lumumba Uncaged. We're going to be on. No, I'm sorry, not YouTube. That was not YouTube. Facebook. That'll be Facebook Live under the Lumumba Uncaged. Also through Zoom in our Zoom room. All right, and so you can contact. Email nationalmwm@aol.com. Again, that's nationalmwm@aol.com. You can also email powerman2282@gmail.com. That's powerman2282@gmail.com. You can also text 267-636-3802. That number again is 267-636-3802. And again, those meetings are Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. Shout out to all those who tapped in with us on our Facebook Live page, also on our YouTube. Sister Baker, Sister K Fighter jumped in and joined us. Brother Pollinator, as well as Sister J Renee, and all those who did tap in but didn't comment. I think Sister Mary joined us on YouTube as well. But for all those who joined us and supported, we definitely appreciate you all. All right. With that, we getting ready to close out for this evening. Any last thing you want to add, Sister Empress?
Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, only that we want to remind folks that next year we will be commemorating the 55th year anniversary observance of the National Black Political Convention. Now, we're going to do an examination of these past 55 years, but also begin to look at a national Black political agenda that all of us that are really about certain things can agree on, vote on, and push a national Black agenda in our communities. Because we know that our people are going to vote in 2028. They're going to vote. So to not have anything out there that at least says to them, yo, you need to at least be looking at some candidates that, you know, is talking about or thinking about whatever. We're being remiss by not collectively at least putting something in the midst of all the madness that our people can at least look at and think about. So next year, March, we'll be meeting in Gary, Indiana. Again, it is the 55th year commemoration of the National Black Political Convention. And yes, it was controversial, and yes, there was BS in it, but there were some good things that did come out. What we can now do is take things to the next level and begin to look at independent political processes within our communities. Also, the possibility of PACs, super PACs, Black that is. And again, what is our agenda in our communities? Because in all of our communities, we're voting for people, council and Senate and all this other stuff. There's some level that we can engage in and have a little say in if we are organized to do so. So again, our position is not just to complain, not to just talk. Let's at least attempt to make some action steps and do some things. At least show that we're trying to do some things for real. So again, we'll give you more information about that next week. But delegates are now able to sign up, pre-register for your state. 10,000 people came in 1972. 10,000. So our position is that folks that are serious about their community, they need to come in, bring any reports, information. It could be shared, and then we will examine a Black political agenda that is already written up. And we will look at that and then see how we want to revise it, what parts we want to keep with it, and then we'll vote on it. But again, you have to be a delegate for that. So if you're interested in getting information about representing your community in your state, then you can again email us at nationalmwm@aol.com or text us at 267-636-3802, and we'll begin to get some information to you. But pre-registration is now underway. All right, that's it.
All right, give thanks, family. Till next time, peace, power, and prosperity.